Well, it came a long way. We're here, we're ready, we put in the work. So all we got to do is just put it on film and let's go. Our nation.
So it's been time to show our since the work started beforehand and the work. You got to translate the work to the field and make things happen.
Anxious to get it rolling?
Being interested to get it rolling. It's been a long time coming, and I'm just ready to go out there and play.
It is indeed game week as the Owls get ready to take on Monmouth in the season opener alongside the Hagerty family head football coach Tom Herman. I'm Frank Fort. Coach, I don't know if any coach in America goes into a season, maybe one or two, saying, we're totally ready. We're 100% ready to go. Where are you guys on that scale?
We're close. We're a lot farther ahead than obviously we've ever been in our time here. But I think, throughout this week of practice, we're certainly on track to being ready at the level that we would expect to be ready for a first game. I think we're on track to be there on Saturday.
Coach Herman's interview each and every week is brought to you by Phil Smith Automotive, driving the Owls to victory together in style. I think the age-old question in college football with no preseason games is, how much do you hit in preseason? Because to play football, you got to practice football. And you're always walking that line of how much contact is too much. So how much full go did you go this camp?
We go as much as the NCAA will let us. There's been a lot of advancement in the regulations on what we can and can't do in terms of full contact. But that's the only way I know how. And granted, we do a lot of tackling drills and stuff like that when we're not full tackle. But the only way to get good at something is to do it. How do you get good at tackling? You tackle people over and over and over again. That has been my adage, and so I think anytime the NCAA allows us to be live and to play the game the way the game is going to be played on Saturdays, I think it behooves us to take every advantage of that.
Well, we'll see the depth chart when it comes out and, on Saturday who goes on the field. But throughout this fall camp, I think there's been a couple of freshmen that have worked their way up and have a chance to, as you say, be on the bus for game one.
Yeah. Certainly Zeke Moore would be one offensively that would definitely have a chance on that side of the football. I think our two corners, our two freshman corners are definitely slated to be on the quote-unquote travel list if we were going on the road.
You're talking about Chris Truly and Fabian Scott.
Correct, yes.
You had a mock game last Saturday, and I want to give the fans just a little taste of what that sounded and looked like.
Everybody then stays down there. Boom, we get those 12 to 14 throws in. Who's ever left, including quarterbacks, will go jog in, get a break, and then we clear the field with everybody.
We're going to be on the 30-yard line, so we'll drive right here on the 30, okay? That's where the ball basically can just walk right up there and go.
Now, in terms of substitution, right, it was 2 minutes. I brought you out. Probably in the game because the ball was far hash, I probably wouldn't do that.
But the biggest thing is your urgency to align.
Well, there was no detail too small. From how you're going to warm up to where the special teams guys stand and you got the right personnel. But you want to cover like every possible scenario or as many as possible.
When you think you're slow, and the less thinking we can do on game day, the better, hopefully zero. And we try to take all of the thinking and put it on the front end down to, our players on offense should know if we have one play left from the plus 15, what's Coach Fry going to call? Boom. They should be able to tell you those things. And again, we try to simulate different scenarios in terms of kicking off after a safety, maybe sudden change, defense being on the bench and having to run on the field. Pre-game is very orchestrated and there's a lot of moving parts. And so the fact that we were able to go through a dry run of that, and everything that comes with that, and then be able to play the game and throw a lot of different scenarios at the guys, I think is always good to get all that thinking done on the front end. And that way, when we do kick off against Monmouth, there'll be a lot less thinking.
Well, last Sunday at the team meeting, you awarded kicker/punter Logan Lupo a scholarship, so I'm assuming he's won that job. But also, you're very involved in special teams on a daily basis, and I think that goes back to your early years in coaching.
Yeah. Congratulations to Logan for really not just a great training camp, but our 9 months here. He's been very, very impressive. He will if we played tomorrow, handle the field goal duties as well as the punting duties. We've only got 4 things on our plan to win every week. Play great defense first, win the turnover battle, or score and prevent touchdowns in the red zone, and then win the special teams battle. And so if you're going to say that 25% of your plan to win every Saturday is devoted to special teams, and as a head coach, to me, you put your money where your mouth is.
6 p.m. kickoff inside FAU Stadium, Howard Schnellenberger Field against the Hawks of Monmouth. FCS team, they return a 1,700-yard rusher in Jaden Sheridan.
I believe led FCS in rushing 157 yards or something like that a game.
Yeah, so I think that's got your defensive coach's attention.
It does, and they've got 2 really good wide receivers. I mean, they had a year, I think that they thought they would have liked to have been a little bit better from a record standpoint, but we understand this is not some preseason warm-up game or anything like that. This is going to be a battle.
Regardless of if it's an FCS team or not, what do you hope to see out of your team in week 1?
I would say as long as we're playing hard and through the echo of the whistle and we're lighting our hair on fire, and then as crisp as you can be, let's not beat ourselves, right? Let's not have false starts and offsides and all that. Are we going to have a holding penalty? We might. Are we going to have a pass interference? We might. But let's make sure if we're going to commit penalties that they're aggressive ones, not self-inflicted ones.
All right, it is that time for Tom Herman's Pop Culture Pop Quiz, brought to you by FAU MBA in Sport Management, ranked number 11 globally. Every Thursday at practice, you do Throwback Thursday with the music. One-hit wonders for hip-hop in the 90s. I'll tell you the song, you tell me the artist.
Roger that.
Bust a Move.
Young MC. It's my go-to karaoke song.
Okay. And our second one is Here Come the Hot Stepper.
Oh, here come the hot stepper.
You know the music.
No. He'll love you like that. Where am I? I Need Kamosi.
Correct. Bang. Coach, all the best Saturday. Talk to you next week.
You too. Thank you.
Coming up, after a devastating knee injury last October, we'll take you step by step through the recovery process for linebacker Eddie Williams. Football in Paradise is next on Inside the Owl's Burrow. Inside the Owl's Burrow is presented by Baptist Health Orthopedic Care, the official sports medicine provider of Florida Atlantic Athletics. By Adidas. By Cedars, No Better Hummus. By FAU MBA in Sport Management, nationally renowned and ranked number 11 globally. By Phil Smith ACURA, driving the Owls to victory together in style. By Sage Dental, the official dental provider of FAU Athletics. Book at mysagedental.com. And by Shiner Law Group, injury lawyers that get you more because you deserve more. Welcome back to Inside the Owl's Burrow. I'm Frank Ford. Throughout the season, I'll be bringing you personal and compelling stories of your Owls in a series called Football in Paradise. We begin this week with a look at linebacker Eddie Williams and all the work he went through to come back from a knee injury which ended his season in October of 2022. Football in Paradise is brought to you by Go Solar Power, lowest payment, best equipment, #1 solar installer.
In my mind, I was out there crying because I knew, I felt it was over with. Opening kickoff, U-tip, I run, double team, what I expected, coming up watching film. I tried to cut, and it just snapped. So I was crying, and I was just praying that it wasn't true, that I was having a good year. Yeah, they told me that I was done for the year. To get an ACL surgery, they said it can't be that swollen, so thank God it didn't swell up a lot. So it took a week, I want to say, a week and a couple of days. Yeah, so it was fast. I got it right after. Yeah, at the start, it's just only bending. I couldn't walk. I was on crutches for 6 weeks. I couldn't put no pressure on it or anything like that.
The first things we work on the first few weeks is range of motion, trying to get the knee to bend, swelling, get the edema out of there, pain control, neuromuscular education. Very simple, basic things that is totally different than what he's used to.
The hardest thing when I first started rehab was, staying locked in not letting my emotions, get the best of me. I had to focus on like the long-term goal and stay locked in.
So it's a very slow, step-by-step process. But when you get these guys to commit to the process itself, it really helps transition to a smooth recovery down the road to get them to return to play.
I want to say like two months, those are like the hardest. Like after that, you getting used to it, doing more weight, starting to run, break down, little stuff like that. That was like a good experience, I never did that. It was actually like weird at first, because I'm running, I had to get used to running, and I was tired, out of shape, stuff like that, but it was good. They got the monitors, like you can see how you're running, your form, your technique, you can see everything, and it's right in front of your face, like 4 screens, different angles.
So once we get to this, 12, 14 weeks after surgery, and the underwater treadmill, the HydroWorks, is a great asset, a great tool for us to use. We're able to use the buoyancy of the water to help decrease the stress on the knee joint, but then work on running mechanics. We have video analysis, so we can look at different planes and look at them from the front, from the side, and try to see, what's the knee mechanics looking like, what's the stride length looking like. And we can also work them cardiovascular-wise.
I want to say when I first started running, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm getting back, like this can happen. And like I did it, like just keep going, like it don't stop here just because I'm running. When you do new stuff with the knee, like you'll have certain pains on like your patella or the back of your knee. When you do different stuff, like different cuts, like some days your knee like will hurt. That was hard to get through, but other than that, it's pretty good. Finish! Yeah, when summer workouts came around, I was back with the team. So, it felt good to be back with the team, and I was doing mostly everything they were doing. So yeah, I felt like I was getting back to 100%. I felt like I was getting one step closer to the goal.
The first question every football player asks is, when am I going to be back on the field? So that's their long-term goal. So where Eddie has really excelled at, he's really taken these short-term goals and committed physically, mentally, and just locked in on those phases, and has really attacked those to get to where he's at now. And he's really progressed, to be honest, really smooth at this point.
Grind, it's like a grind. Like you gotta want it. Like if you don't want it, then it's never gonna get better, or it's just gonna take longer. I'm trying to go out there and play with the guys, and because it's gonna be a good season this year.
Coming up next, a visit with defensive coordinator Roc Bellantoni, who returns to Florida Atlantic for the second time. That's next on Inside the Owls Burrow. Welcome back to Inside the Owls Burrow. I'm Frank Fort. Among the assistant coaches Tom Herman hired to join his staff is a familiar one to many Owl fans, defensive coordinator Roc Bellantoni, who previously served on staff here from 2014 through 16. This assistant coach profile is brought to you by Shiner Law Group, the injury lawyers that get you more because you deserve more.
Set, hit. There we go.
Let's kind of go back to the beginning. You played at a small college, Iona, as a defensive tackle. At that time, were you focused on staying in the game, or did you have other career plans?
No, I knew I wanted to be a coach. I knew NFL was probably not in my future. I didn't have the stature or any of that stuff. Loved the game. Even at a young age, I'd be paying a lot of attention to what the coaches were doing, what they were teaching. I knew I wanted to coach. At what level, I wasn't really sure.
When we club, look, club, separation, over. Okay, slow down, it's not a race.
This is not your first rodeo at FAU. You were defensive coordinator here from 2014 to 16. There wasn't a lot of winning, but you recruited a lot of good players that won that championship in 17. So were there mixed emotions when you look back on those 3 years?
No, I wouldn't say there's mixed emotions. I mean, we knew who we were at that point. We were trying to build a program. The program was only, at that time, 13 years old, I believe. And we tried to come in and build on top of what Coach Snellenberger had done, that recruited a lot of really good young players and took our lumps. You see what they did in 2017. To see guys like Aziz and and Herb and Jalen Young and Ray Ellis and those guys go on and win a championship after taking lumps for a couple of years was kind of rewarding to know that you had something to do with that.
Since then, you've had stops, as you mentioned, at Buffalo, Washington State, Utah State, Auburn in various roles. Has that made you better prepared to be the defensive coordinator in 2023?
Oh yeah, there's no doubt about it. I mean, 9 years ago I got here the first time to be the D coordinator. In 9 years, I think anybody's going to get better at their job. You know, it's been a lot of ups and downs over the past 6-7 years, but man, I've become a lot better football coach with some of the people that I've been around.
You got him. Pre-snap motion, you got him. Go ahead, get back there, Jaden.
But if there's one thing that I've learned, it's don't paint guys into a box, right? You know, I used to be, we're going to be a 4 down, we're going to run this coverage, and we're going to get really good at this, and you know, and just try to force guys into that box. But then you got to structure what we can do to their strengths a lot better than maybe I did at some points in my career. Find out what they do best, and then structure the scheme around that.
What's one word you might use to describe your approach as to how you coach football?
Passion. I think I'm passionate about this game. I'm passionate about young men. I'm passionate about the coaches. I think I show up every day with an energy to get better and drive other people to get better.
Modern day college defense, it's difficult to shut teams down. So what's the key to playing successful defense in 2023 in college?
It'd be a great time to be an offensive coordinator. No, it's, I think, you know, on defense, if you can get off the field on 3rd down and stop people in the red zone, you got a chance to be pretty good. Those are the 2 most critical areas. You got to play really good, smart situational football and get off the field on 3rd down.
There you go. See it? Now, hey, look where the QB is. Nice and tight to where the QB is, right?
But we've got to get more pressure on the quarterback than we did last year, I think, for sure. I think that will help our pass defense. I think it'll help get teams in more predictable situations. We've got to be better in that area.
You and your wife Jenny have 4 sons, and they're mostly involved in baseball. Did you steer them away for football, or did that kind of happen organically?
People ask that question all the time. They played football until we moved out to Washington, and then you know, the oldest had to find a college to play at, so he had to go to some fall camps. The other 3 decided they didn't want to play anymore, and then COVID came, and I think they just decided to stick with baseball. But I tell people it's probably because, number one, I could go in the spring and help coach their teams when they were little. I could take them to the cage when I had some downtime, but also they didn't have these genetic freaks, and you know, they came over the house and they thought, well, I'm not going to be that guy. I got a chance to be a baseball guy. I think they looked at their dad and said, I'm not going to be you know, that guy playing D-end, or I got a better chance in baseball.
Straight ahead, offensive tackle Chaz Neal is mic'd up for practice.
We working, baby! And that's our O-line got unit pride right there.
That's coming your way next on Inside the Owls Burrow. Inside the Owls Burrow is brought to you by Adidas, by Baptist Health Orthopedic Care, the official sports medicine provider of Florida Atlantic Athletics, by Cedars No Better Hummus, by FAU MBA in Sport Management, helping the sports and entertainment executives of tomorrow, by Phil Smith Kia, by Sage Dental, the official dental provider of FAU Athletics. Book at mysagedental.com. And by Shiner Law Group, injury lawyers that get you more because you deserve more. Happy you're with us this week on Inside the Owls Burrow. I'm Frank Fort. As Florida Atlantic prepares for their season opener against Monmouth, we went on the field and in the trenches with offensive tackle Chaz Neal, Wired for Sound. Wired for Sound is brought to you by Sage Dental, official dental provider of FAU Athletics. Book at mysagedental.com.
Yes, sir. About to have a great day. Hey, I'm mic'd up. Don't say nothing bad. We turn up today. We turn up today.
There you go. Ready, go.
Still hit me in the shoulder.
Can't do that now. You can't change your technique whenever you want.
Why'd you?
You're paralyzed.
Good kick, Lupo.
You got to get that backside hand and his backside number. Yes, sir. First step is the key. Ready, go.
Your head outside. Outside foot, everything, boom. To the outside. We step here and come up, that's it, the same thing. Yeah, it hurts. Yeah, that's the Herman church. That's what, but I'm thinking with 60, we never sit on 60, coach. That's what I'm saying. Hey, it's 2-0. I want me some lemon pepper wings, extra lemon pepper, extra seasoning. Bob got longer leggings. There you go, Bob, longer leggings. Earlier, you'll see it on film. Rifle. I called it. I called it because we went over it.
I know, so you called rifle, but he didn't do it.
No! Point correct. Just stay up. Then ain't how we move, how we step, huh? And look, he mad because I'm kicking his ass. Yes, sir. What you talking about? And that's how O-line got unit pride right there.
That's our show for this week. Thanks for watching. I'm Frank Fort. We'll see you next week on Inside the Owls Burrow, and we leave you with some scenes from the making of the scoreboard intro video. This has been a presentation of Playfly.